everybody, I hope that you're doing great. Welcome back to my channel. So I did the video on how to get a nursing job in the UK. If you haven't watched that, click the I link that is up there and it will take you straight to the video, and I'm also going to leave a link to that video in the description box down below so you can watch that after this. So after I did that video, I got messages from people asking me to do a detailed video on the IELTS test, and that is what we are going to be doing today. So I'm not an expert on immigration, I'm not an expert on how people can move to the UK or anywhere else. I'm just trying to share my experience with you guys, and yeah, I'm just hoping that it's going to help someone out there. Before we move on, so, as you all know, if you're coming to work as a nurse in the UK, you have to prove your English proficiency, or in other words, you have to prove that you can communicate well when you get here, and that includes in reading, writing, listening, and also speaking. And there are 3 ways that you can prove your English proficiency to them. And the first one is if you're from an English-speaking country and English is the first and native language of that country. The NMC has provided a list of those countries on their website, so you can go and check them, and it's countries like the US, Canada, Australia, Jamaica, and a few others. And then there is also a second option, and it's where you graduated within the last 2 years, and while you were studying you did it in English, and you also practice 50% or more in English during your practicals, and that includes speaking to the patients in English and all that, and they ask you to prove that. So you can refer to their websites for more information on that. And the third one is the English test. And there are 2 types of English tests. The first one is the OET, or the Occupational English Test, which is not offered in many countries. I think in most African countries we don't have that. If you end up doing the OET, you have to score a B in all of the 4 categories, and I think it's a little bit more expensive than the IELTS. So the second one, of course, is the IELTS, which is the International English Language Testing System. Of course, you have to score a minimum of 7 in each of the 4 categories. That is the listening, reading, writing, and speaking. The certificate that you get, or once you pass the exam, that expires in 2 years. When you're doing this whole process, you're going to need your IELTS for 2 purposes. The first purpose is to prove your English proficiency to the NMC, and the second one is for when you're applying your visa to come here. Both of them, of course, require IELTS, but different kinds of IELTS and different standards. So for the Home Office, they require you to have IELTS for UKVI, and you need to score a minimum of 4 in each of the 4 categories, which is easy, right? It's just 4. But now for the NMC, they need you to have IELTS academic, and you need to have a score of 7 in each of the 4 categories. What is easy for you guys to do is, in the beginning when you're doing the English test, just book for IELTS UKVI academic. So if you get a 7, then you can use that certificate to prove your English proficiency to the NMC, and then towards the end of your process you can use that same certificate to apply for the visa. It's like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. If you do the exam the first time and you don't manage to get a 7, instead you get a 6.5, then you can try one more time, and if you get a 6.5 again, at least a 6.5 in each, then you can combine 2 tests and they are accepted, as long as those tests are done within 6 months of each other and there is no category that you have achieved less than 6.5. The IELTS UKVI and the normal IELTS academic, they are one and the same thing, the same exam. The only difference is that when you're doing the UKVI, it's a bit expensive, and then they have more surveillance, like their cameras. Speaking speaking test is usually done either before or after the main exam days, or in some cases like I did, you can do it on the same day as the other tests. This exam is usually about 11 to 14 minutes, and you have a conversation with an examiner, and they are recording this whole session, and I think there's also a camera. I think this is one of the easiest parts of this whole IELTS exam. So my tips on this: just be confident. Practice even before you go for the exam. Practice speaking to someone so you can gain confidence in the way you speak. Try to be audible, be fluent, and then don't go using all those complicated vocabularies. Just use the simple language that you would normally use in a normal day-to-day conversation. So for the listening test, I think it's 40 minutes, so you get 30 minutes for the exam and then 10 extra minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. It's all of you doing the exam seated in the same hall, and maybe you're given headphones or they're using a loudspeaker, and you listen at the same time. So once they start, then they don't stop for anybody. So make sure that you're concentrating. Go through the questions first to have an idea of what they're going to ask. They actually do give you time to go through the questions before they start, and then once you start, if it happens that you miss one of the questions, just move on together with the speaker so you don't miss out on the other numbers. I think it's 1 hour, and there are 3 passages for that, usually from newspapers or magazines. They are not interesting stories. In my case, I did better when I actually read the questions first, so I had an idea of what the story was about. Then it got easier for me to extract the answers from the passage. Maybe you can do that, or you can have your own way for doing that. In writing, there is 2 sections for that, and that's task 1 and task 2. So task 1 is worth like a third of the whole writing test. You're supposed to spend 20 minutes on task 1. Here you get bar charts and line graphs, pie charts, building plans, and they tell you to summarize or describe what you're seeing. The other one is task 2. It has more marks. You're supposed to spend 40 minutes on this. They check for spelling, they check for link words, punctuation. One thing that I did on my IELTS is I started with task 2 because I knew it had more marks and it took more time, and then later I did task 1. Maybe you can do the same, and it can help in a way. Some people do take classes, other people buy books. Once you pay for the exam, the British Council gives you access to revision materials online. I learned a lot on YouTube. There's this lady called IELTS Liz. She's amazing. So I do recommend that you go to YouTube or her website, IELTS Liz. And then there are other websites like IELTS Buddy and also other YouTube videos on IELTS. That's all I had for you guys. So thank you so much for watching. As usual, share this video with somebody who's trying to do this whole process, and I wish you all the best. Remember to subscribe below, like, comment, and share this video with someone out there who is going through this whole process. Bye bye, and I will see you on my next video.